video. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, so we're still talking about how to make do with what you have. It's mid-June and I've already got stuff ready to harvest in my garden, so today I want to talk about how to harvest, how to preserve it, and what to do with that later. And that item is kale. Kale is nasty, but it's super healthy, so I make myself eat it. But to make it more palatable, I chop it up in a salad or I put it in smoothies or something, and I find that I'm more likely to eat it if I can kind of cover it with other flavors, such as any other food. Lately, my kale is growing faster than I can use it up before it would wilt and end up in the compost bin. So I've started dehydrating it and making it into my own homemade super greens powder, along with other things that I've dehydrated like spinach or celery or broccoli or other greens. And I can then use this powder in smoothies, soups, sauces, or my new favorite way, homemade pasta. It makes for a beautiful dinner presentation when I make multicolored pasta. Plus, it's a great way to get extra nutrition into my junk food loving family. So let's go harvest some of that bitter kale and get going. So we're out here on my deck, and this is where I have my kale growing in a raised bed. And even though I harvested it just last week, it is still full. And it just keeps coming back because I'm doing cut and come again method, which basically means you harvest the largest leaves and then you let it continue to grow and you keep coming back for more, rather than simply harvesting one entire head and then the plant's done. So I'm going to look for the largest leaves and the best looking ones, and I'm going to pull those ones off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend them downward at the very base of the stalk, and that's how I'm going to break them off. So I start on the lowest ones, and they just come off like that. So I am going to harvest on each one of my 6 plants here. And as you push down on them, the stalks just come right off. I don't want to pull outward or upward, because if I do, I could dislodge the plant from the roots, and I don't want to do that. But by pushing down, it doesn't disturb the roots and it keeps the plant firmly in the soil. So this is how much I harvested just now. It's quite a lot. So I'm going to wash these and pat them dry on a dry towel, and I'll be back. I've washed the leaves and patted them dry, and now I'm going to remove the part that I'm going to dehydrate. We need to remove the stems because they're even more bitter and nasty than the leaves. Plus, they'll increase the dehydration time by several hours, and I'll never get this done. So hold the stem in one hand, and with the leaves folded over in half, just pull them up and off the stem. Do that with each stalk, and don't forget the smaller leaves on the stalks. Take those off too. You wouldn't want to miss out on a single bitter leaf of this stuff. Hold the stem with one hand and the leaf with the other in half and just pull it off. It will naturally break off wherever it begins to weaken and the stalk is not so thick anymore. It's okay for it to be like that. And get those last few leaves off, and one more. And if it comes off in pieces, no big deal. It's all going in the dehydrator. But don't throw out the stalks, no need to waste them. If you have rabbits, chickens, hamsters, guinea pigs, or any kind of domestic rodents, these are nutritious and tasty treats for them. Or you can throw them in the compost bin, where they'll turn into an unearthly smell. Now, lay these on the dehydrator trays flat, not folded over in half. And it's okay if they overlap a little. The curly edges will prevent them from lying flat on each other, so it won't prevent proper dehydration. Now stack all the trays together. Put the top on and start your dehydrator. Mine is a very basic dehydrator, so it just simply has an on-off switch, but if yours has an actual temperature setting that you can do, you'll want to dehydrate at 125 degrees for 6 to 8 hours or until thoroughly dry and crackly. If any of the leaves are still bendy at all after that time, throw them back on the dehydrator, or you could risk mold growth in the storage container afterward. Oh, and here's a handy tip.
Do not
dehydrate these inside your house. Put the unit out in your garage or even on the back porch or under the deck, as long as it's in a shady spot so you don't destroy the unit, because dehydrating kale has its own special perfume, kind of like wet dog that rolled in a bunch of plants with a side of burp. So do your nose a favor and run that thing outdoors. I've got some dehydrated kale here in my blender, and I'm going to blend or pulse it until it's a fine powder and I don't have any large bits or pieces left. Then I'll store it in an airtight jar for use later. I've just made some of my kale into a smoothie that's nutritious and delicious. I've used banana and pineapple in here, as well as a scoop of protein powder, along with my dehydrated super greens powder. Let's give it a go.
That's good, Mom. Thank you.
I don't even taste the kale. And that's when you know you've made it right. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time. So I'm going to do the cut and come again method. All right, we're out here on my deck and I have my kale in a raised bed. And even though I